रूपकदामि ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Nectar of Instructions of Deshamrits. We are doing a systematic Bhakti Shastri study and we have completed up till text 6. So today we will take text 7. Again, this is a different meter. I don't know the name, but it's a very beautiful meter. Syat Krishnam Charitadisitapya Vidya पित्तोपतप्तरसनस्य नारोचिकानो हिन्त्वादरातनुदिनं खलु सैव्यजुष्टा स्वाद्विक्रमाद्भवति तद्गद मूलहन्त्री. So, the holy name, character, pastimes and activities of Krishna. Syat means is of Krishna Nama. That Lord's name, character, pastimes, and all so forth. Charitadi, Sitapya are transcendently sweet like sugar candy, Sita. Although the tongue of one afflicted by jaundice of avidya, apya avidya pittopta rasanasya, cannot taste anything sweet, na rochikano. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, Kintu Adara Tanudinam Kalu Seva Jushta, a natural relish awakens within the tongue. Natural relish, remember, not artificial relish. Sadvi Kramad Bhavati, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Tada Gada Mula Hantri. So here now, again going to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's analysis of each of the verses. The first verse we have seen is Andi Samir Lakshan. 2 to 3 spoke about Madhyamadikari Goswami's experience and Bhakti rules. Bhakti Pratikul Shadgun, Bhakti Anukul Shadgun, and Shad with Priti Lakshanam. And 5, 6, 7, 8 is Madhyamadikari Goswami's vision and internal development. How a Madhyamadikari, because in text 4 it was mentioned that one should give up Janasangha and Sangatyagat was mentioned. And what one should do is associate with devotees. In the association of devotees, what should do? One should do? He should have these 6 loving exchanges. Now, whom to choose for these living exchanges? The Madhyamadikari, how does he, associate with the Kanishta, with the equals, with the, how does he deal with them? So that was in Krishneti. And then how a Madhyamadikari, while associating with the Uttamadikari, has to not see the Uttamadikari from a material consideration. That was, a Prakrit Vaishnava, Prakrit Drishti Nishedha. Now, if you see, up till you can say text 5, these are very much moral and ethical lessons for all, whether be spiritual practitioners of Gaudiya Vaishnava or common people. But from, in fact, even 6 also you can say, like, a teacher who's teaching, of course, he should be of a good character. One should not see him from material considerations like that. So, but 7, 8 onwards, it is purely applicable to how one should associate with devotees and how one should move from Vaidi to Raganuga. In fact, you can say text 7 is a transition from Vaidi to Raganuga. Text 8 is Raganuga Bhakti, for your kind information. We'll come to that. But text 7 is like a transition, you can say. And how avidya is destroyed and avidya vinash Krishna name anushiliner pranali. This is in Bengali, remember the language avidya vinash Krishna name anushiliner. This is Bengali. So how one should destroy avidya and what is the methodology, the systematic method to take Krishna name. Krishna Nam Anushilinar Pranali. So we have seen that if a Madhyamadikari doesn't respect the Kanishtas in the mind, then he commits offense. And then doesn't respect those who are, very elevated, who are absorbed in bhajan by offering obeisances, then he's not respecting and he's committing offenses. And similarly to the Uttamas, and especially that is discussed, how a Kanishta should not see a Uttama from the material consideration. So one who crosses these two stages of not committing offenses and now not committing offense to the holy name. And where in this verse it is mentioned how not to commit offense to the holy name? Where it is mentioned, anyone think about it and tell me where it is mentioned in the verse how one should not commit offense to the holy name. Where it is mentioned, anyone? Where in the verse it is mentioned? It is Adarat. Adarat especially. One should carefully, while chanting, one should be careful that I should not disrespect the holy name by being inattentive. So that's where. So when one doesn't commit Vaishnava Aparadh and Nama Aparadh, then avidya will be destroyed. And what is the methodology? That is Adarat Anudinam. That Anushilana Pranali is being discussed in text 7. So we have to chant the holy name. Swat Krishna Nama Adi Nama Rupa. Charita means guna. And then Leela, association and engaging in the Leela of the Lord. So this is progressively revealed with the taste coming in the holy name. Now the purport is quite simple. And Prabhupada first discusses actually the verse translation. He paraphrases it in detail here. How the holy name is like sugar candy and avidya is like jaundice. And then Prabhupada speaks about the disease condition and the healthy condition of the soul. And then how avidya is destroyed by Krishna consciousness, paragraphs 3 and 4. And how the Mahamantra is the cure for the disease of avidya. And this same Mahamantra, which is the disease for avidya, there are these 3 stages. So further discussion he continues. And how by chanting one can go from the stage of Shraddha to Prema and destroy avidya. So all this three are the same, but from different perspectives. From the perspective of Cheto Darpan Marjanam, how avidya is destroyed. From the perspective of how through the three stages by taking Shuddha Nam, avidya is destroyed, and by from the 9 stages mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how avidya is destroyed. Three different perspectives of Nam are discussed here. So that's in summary what is there in the purport. So let's begin the purport. If you have any questions, you are free to raise your hands. Huh? The holy name of Lord Krishna, his qualities, Leela, Guna, pastimes, Leela, and so forth are all the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Nescience, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is called by bilious secretion. So when pittopataptas in Ayurveda, when there is the disease of the pitta, the liver gets affected because of pitta. And then what happens is the tongue, taste is gone. And even if you put a sugar candy, it doesn't taste like sugar candy, although it is sugar candy, but you are not able to taste it. So just like the body disease of jaundice on the tongue, even when the sugar candy comes in touch, you don't taste it sweet. Similarly, there is the disease of the heart because of ahankar. And that is why the tongue, even though it chants the name, because the heart is diseased because of avidya, we cannot taste the sweet nectar of the holy name. Now, this is one barometer you can all have to know how much we are purified or how much avidya is destroyed by understanding how much you have taste for chanting. That's it. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. So just like jaundice, uh, covers the ability of sweet to be tasted as bitter. Similarly, avidya perverts the ability to relish the transcendental name, quality, form, and pastimes of Krishna. Despite of this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental name, nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. So, kintu adarat. Now, here it is very important. It has been mentioned adarat means with great care. That means you fix your consciousness in hearing the mantra. In chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you have to consciously vibrate the mantra. You can unconsciously vibrate the mantra also. But you have to consciously hear the mantra. There your consciousness must be there. So we have to hear very attentively. We put our heart attention 100%. So as long as one has not reached the very elevated stage of asakti, till then one should be very careful that one doesn't commit offense to the holy name in the form of prabad, in the form of inattention. Harinam Chintamani quite in detail discusses this. As I was mentioning other time also, that in the Namaprad Pramad of chapter 13 of Harinam Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes into a detailed analysis of these three types of pramad, Audasin, Jad, and Vikshep. And quite in detail, we discussed this seminar for 3 days. And fourth day, we have chanting. So, if we avoid this Namaprad and with great care and attention we chant, what will happen? His ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue is unable to taste the sweetness. Gradually, the samat, it is not sudden. Krama, gradually, he'll start tasting some nectar. Such a recovery of spiritual health is only possible by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is focusing on two things in the verse. One is Adarat, Anudinam. You might with Adara chant, but if you're not doing Anudinam, then it is not good. If you're doing Anudinam, but if you're not doing it Adara, that also will not do. Both you have to do. Okay, so that's about the first paragraph. Then in the second paragraph, Prabhupada speaks about the disease condition and the healthy condition of the soul. When a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be in a diseased condition. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Jivera Saruphoy Krishna Nitya. So there is a normal condition and the diseased condition. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external features of Krishna's Maya energy. So when we forget Krishna and we are absorbed in materialistic thoughts, this world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. So Prabhupada now, Maya's one feature is that it covers one's consciousness. But Maya's another explanation is bad shelter or a false shelter, hoping against hope. So this is what Prabhupada is going to elaborate. So here, what is the healthy condition? Jivera Swarupoy Krishna Ramitas. Forget Krishna, being attracted by the external features of Maya is disease condition, more interested in the materialistic way of life. So we can also again see how much is our attraction to Maya and how much is our attraction to Krishna conscious activities, serving as a servant of Krishna. Based on that, we can understand how much we are diseased. That is the point, how much we are diseased. In the material world, everyone is trying to become happy. And although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their nescience, they cannot understand their mistakes. The highest happiness, I'm just giving this example just to drive the point, is the relationship between so-called love of a man and a woman, which should actually ethically and legally, it should be in the form of Vivaha Samskar. That attraction is there, happiness that I'll become happy, but it all ends in, very soon divorces or fights or so many things, especially in today's world. So happiness, although they repeatedly, pin their heart to some other object, this person, that person, they are baffled in everywhere. And they repeatedly, are, failure. They experience failure, but they still don't understand their mistake. The heart, I mean the soul here, can only be happy in relationship with Krishna. And we have put Durashraya. We have pinned our heart in the hope of becoming happy with the relationships of these things in this world, people in this world. Especially I'm speaking about, the highest conjugal relationship of a lover and beloved. But, it will never work. Only when we establish our relationship with Krishna and in that vision we see all other relationships, then there is harmony. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. So we know that, the cars were first invented by, it came in UK. In UK, they had something called as horse carriages. And the horse had their carriages, and the horse is to take people from one place to another place. But the horse also is to pass stool, and this stool is to be on the pathways, and it is to smell. So now, in order to get rid of the smell, slowly, they thought of inventing a four-wheeler, which will, we can avoid the horse smell. And now the four-wheeler is invented, that is a car, automobile, and it is to run on petrol, the smoke. So now there is a pollution of the smoke. And because of that, the lungs are getting affected. And now we have gas. Gas stations have come up in many of the metro cities. And scientists have found that the pollution of the smoke affects the chest, the lungs, but the gas is still more subtler. It affects the brain. And so many complicated diseases come up. So people try to rectify one mistake by making another big mistake, not small mistake. And now there is a whole, global crisis, global warming. So many complicated issues have come up just because we could not tolerate that smell of the, horse stool. Now we are all ready to tolerate the smoke, which is coming out of the engines and from the gas stations. So our struggle for this material world, in the material world, existence has become more harder and harder because we are baffled because of avidya. If one in this condition is advised to take the Krishna consciousness and be happy, he does not accept such instructions. That's what Prabhupada deals about the healthy condition and the disease condition. Now, everyone is enveloped by avidya. How Krishna consciousness is the remedy for the gross ignorance. So that is what Prabhupada is going to discuss. Okay, so let's go to this. Of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This science is there. This Krishna conscious movement is being spread all over the world just to remedy this gross ignorance, vidya. People in general are misled by blind leaders. The leaders of the human society, the politicians, philosophers, and scientists are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. Very heavy statement. So everyone is blind if he's not Krishna conscious in one sense. Everyone is blind if he's not Krishna conscious. According to Bhagavad Gita, because they are bereft of all factual knowledge due to their atheistic way of life, they are actually sinful rascals and are the lowest among the men. So which verse in the Gita you can quote for this statement of Prabhupada? Which verse of the Gita you can quote? Which verse you can think of? Jitendra Khatri Prabhuji, yes.
It is 7.15.
Pardon?
7.15. Naradam and all. So who doesn't surrender?
Excellent. Very good. Namam Dishkritano Muda Prapadyante Naradama Maya Parita Jnana Asuram Bhavamasha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among the mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by religion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of beings, are not surrendered to me. So these are these leaders who are blind because they are not Krishna conscious. And they are bereft of all factual knowledge. Maya Parita Jnana. Why? Because of their atheistic way. Asuram Bhavam Ashram. They are sinful. Naradama, they are Naradama. Now, Prabhupada is speaking about what is the purpose of this Krishna conscious movement. Remedy is to set right the world enveloped with gross ignorance. This is the purpose of the Krishna conscious movement. And how do we do that? The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take a part in the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. The remedy to remove the world which is engulfed in ignorance is by chanting Hare Krishna. And how? By sending Sankirtan parties. By doing, during Prabhupada's time, there were Sankirtan parties always going around. And it is important that we have these Sankirtans within the cities because that will purify the atmosphere and it will attract the souls to come to Krishna consciousness. So it's very, very important that we do these Sankirtans all the time. And, this is one aspect which is, slowly come down and we have to work on this. Such people never surrender to Krishna and they oppose the endeavor of those who wish to take Krishna's children. Prabhupada is further commenting on that. Namam Dushkatanamuda. When such issues become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged with nescience. You can imagine when there is a leader who is an atheist, the whole atmosphere is engulfed with atheism. In such a condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna conscious movement, just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must know that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, for this avidya, the only medicine is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world right. It is the only remedy. There is no other remedy. Please remember that. There is no other remedy. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, avidya, he must take to it with great care and attention. So again, Prabhupada, twice he has mentioned that with great care and attention. Great care and attention. So how important it is that we chant the holy name with great care and attention. One begins this treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person in the material condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. So what this chanting does is it relieves you from the misconception that I am this body. Anyone who takes up to the chanting, very soon, although he might not be a very self-realized soul, he has this realization that I am different from this body. Yes or no? Everyone will agree with that. Those who have taken up to the chanting. Chaito Darpan Marjanam, Prabhupada quotes. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides a foundation for ahankar or false ego within the heart. So, avidya is a misconception about one's spiritual identity. I am this body, I am Indian, I am American. So, all these are misconceptions. So, here I am just discussing what is this avidya. Now, in the Gaudiya Vaishnav literatures, how Mahamaya Shakti covers the Jiva is being discussed. The Mahamaya Shakti has these two aspects. One is called as the covering potency Avarnatmika Shakti, and one is called as the bewildering potency, which is called as the Prakshepatmika Shakti. Now, the pure soul, which is Krishna conscious, means it is awake as to who he is. Jiva Swarup Krishna Nityadas. He is awake in his relation to Krishna, and he is serving in that relation of Krishna, because ultimately that relationship is of love, where there is provision. So there is sambandha, abhidheya, and provision. So the jiva in its natural state is like a soul. But when that jiva comes under the grip of Maya, there is, avidya. The avidya Shakti is there. And this avidya has these two aspects. Avidya means there is avidya, there is asmita. Asmita means a false identity given, that I am this body. And there is like, raga, dislike, raga binivesh, and dvesha binivesh. And there is abhinivesh. Abhinivesh means absorption. So these 5 states are there, which is given in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and also it is given in the Bhagavatam. But generally, there is also this avidya potency has this, Avarnatmika Shakti and the Prakshepatmika Shakti. Now let us try to understand this by an example. The first example is the man watching a movie in a theater. Now, Krishna is Purusha, he is the enjoyer. And everything is his Shakti. Radharani is Krishna Shakti, Lakshmi is Shakti. So the Shaktiman enjoys his Shaktis. And we, the Jivas, are also Shaktis, although we are Tatastha, but we are his Shaktis. So there is the Shakti and the Shaktiman. The Purusha enjoys his Shaktis. But when the Jiva, who is Shakti of the Lord, the Vibhinnamsha, wants to imitate the Purusha as an enjoyer. Just like why do we go to a movie theater? We want to go to the movie theater because we would like to take the role of that hero. The girl goes to the movie theater because she wants to become like the heroine. Our hero and heroine, Nayak and Nayika, are Radha and Krishna. And we should, give pleasure to them, by which we can experience real spiritual happiness. But we want to take that position of Krishna. And that's why the boy goes to the movie theater and wants to enjoy the movie. So when he goes inside the movie theater, the first thing what happens in the movie theater is that the lights are turned off. So you cannot see yourself, you cannot see your neighbor also. And then secondly, what happens is the projector throws light on the screen, and your consciousness is caught up in the screen and whatever happening on the screen, and you see the hero and villain are fighting, and you are identifying, because your identity is now covered by avidya in the form of light is off, and you are now identifying yourself with that hero. The hero is fighting with the villain. Now in no movie, when the hero and villain fight, the villain kills the hero. No movie it happens. Suppose in this movie the villain kills the hero. Now the hero dies on the screen. Actually, everything what is happening in the screen, it has nothing to do with reality, it's an illusion. But yet, Maya is like that. Maya is illusion. We are getting affected by whatever is happening. And when the hero dies there, you get a shock. Oh, what happened? Nothing has happened to you. Everything is happening is in the screen. So similarly, this Mahamaya Shakti, Avarnatmika Shakti means it covers our real identity, Avarn. And the Prakshepatmika Shakti is the bewildering potency or the throwing potency, where the consciousness, instead of being fixed in the real spiritual consciousness, it is thrown in the material energy, like the light, projection light, which is thrown on the screen, and our consciousness is caught on the screen and whatever is happening on the screen. So our consciousness is locked in this mind and the body and this whole world. And we are all functioning in this illusionary world. So this is how avidya is a covering. Another example of the child watching a horror movie. Now, the child has a desire to watch the horror movie and he ons, the movie on the TV screen. And when the horror movie is going on, now actually whatever is happening is on the mind screen there. But because the child has a desire to see the horror movie, he gets affected by that horror movie because his consciousness is locked in the TV screen. And that TV screen is like the mind screen, the mind. And he gets affected. Although he could, wonderfully sit with his mother and have very loving reciprocations, but because his consciousness is locked in the TV screen, he gets affected by whatever is happening on the TV screen. And he's fearful. Bhayam dvitiya abhinivesh, as in the Bhagavatam 11th canto is mentioned. Bhayam, there is fear. Dvitiya abhinivesh, because of absorption in the consciousness in the external energy of Maya. So that desire to watch the horror movie is like that ahankar by which we cut our relationship with the Lord. The child can just turn to the left and his mother is there and he can have loving restriction. But because his consciousness is locked in the TV screen, he has to suffer, the fear of whatever is happening in the horror movie. So that is how Mahamaya and this avidya potency works. So this is just a understanding of what this is avidya. What is this concept of avidya? That's why I discussed here. So avidya is a misconception about our spiritual identity. Okay, up till here, any questions, any clarification anyone has? Now the remaining part is very, very simple. How the remedy is the chanting of the holy names. Now Prabhupada will discuss this remedy from three perspectives. From the Shikshashtaka perspective, Cheto Darpana Marjan perspective, then from the three stages of chanting, and then from the 9 stages of chanting described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Yes, Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Pranam. Actually, I understood you have beautifully explained the Avarnya Atmika Shakti and Patyapaksha Shakti. But what is the little difference between the two? As in, both are putting us in
One
illusion, right?
covering potency, it covers our identity. See, there is difference between the lights being shut when it is dark. You forget your identity. You cannot see yourself. And the second is that light, the projection light falling on the screen, where your consciousness is pulled towards the screen, pushed towards the screen, and it doesn't go inward. So the Maya potency of Avarnitma covers your pure identity and gives a false identity. That is the Avarnitma. It covers. Secondly, Avarnatika, and then the Prakshepatmaka is the throwing potency. It pushes you, pulls you towards Maya, pulls you towards sense objects. That is
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you.
okay. Okay, so the remaining part of the purport is very, very simple. Prabhupada is going to discuss one perspective about the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a cure for the diseases of avidya, and he quotes the Shikshashtakam, especially Cheto Darpana Marjanam and Bhava Navadni Nirvapanam. And the same thing from a different perspective as to 3 stages of chanting, and then from Shraddha to Prema. So let's go through this. The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if the consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. So the real disease is heart, which is the knot of ahankar in the heart. Avidya, that is ahankar. Avidya, that is ahankar. And if the mind is cleansed, how? By Cheto Darpan Marjan. And how this Cheto Darpan Marjan comes? By the Hare Krishna Mantra. To cleanse the mind and the heart from all misconceptions, one has to take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. Bhava davavupni nirvapanam. So avidya is the misconception about one's spiritual identity. That is a false ego within the heart. The cure is chanting Mahamantra. Cleanse the mind and heart from all misconceptions. Now Prabhupada speaks from again a different perspective. There are three stages in chanting the holy name: the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. So the Kanishta, because he doesn't do it with other, because he has no realization that abhinnatvam nama nami, that's why he commits offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids this, he can glimpse the next stage, which is separated between offensive stage and pure chanting. So please remember Prabhupada saying you will just get a glimpse that not you are on the next stage. When you cross the Namaprad stage, then by attentively chanting over a period of time, gradually we will come to the transcendental platform. Not that immediately you will come to the transcendental platform. So that's why Prabhupada is saying you will get a glimpse of the next stage. When one attains a pure stage, he is immediately liberated. So you have to chant the Shuddha Nam to become liberated, not the. Of course, Namabas glory is that by chanting Namabas one is liberated, but that's not our goal. That real liberation is Muktir Hitva Anyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavasthiti. So that is, pure stage. This is called Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapan. So Prabhupada is mentioning that actually when we come to Krishna consciousness, in one sense, we all feel some relief from material existence. But Prabhupada, actually the Sikshashtakam verse is the 7 stages of perfection one attains by chanting as mentioned. So actual Bhava Davagni, Mahadavagni Nirvapanam happens when we attain Bhava, because at Bhava we are liberated. Of course, at Nishtha we are self-realized. From there we make very swift advancement to Ruchi Asakti, but at Bhava we are liberated and we know our Swarupa. So that is the perfection stage, Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapan. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the taste of transcendental life. So Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, there is where you have taste for chanting, because the disease of avidya is destroyed. In fact, in the Bhakti Rasamrita, not in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the series of verses in the Bhagavad Dharma, Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatirtam shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki. So in those verses, tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhadasche cheteter anavidam stitvam sapdve prasidati. That verse, avidya is destroyed. Avidya is destroyed, at the end of asakti. Asakti, that is where it is mentioned. So there are 3 stages in chanting the holy name. Offensive stage, there are 10 offenses. Stage of lessening offenses, this is between offensive stage and pure chanting. Then there is a pure stage, liberated from the blazing fire of material existence. Relish the taste of transcendental life. So it's here you can start relishing the taste of transcendental life. Now, in the last paragraph, how chanting Hare Krishna takes one from Shraddha to Prema is discussed. This is very relatively simple. Now Prabhupada is concluding also his essay or his commentary. The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material desires, one must take to the chanting of Hare Krishna. The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Now this is a very profound statement. We should create an atmosphere where people can tune into the holy name. We should have a setup where people can just dive into the holy name. Just like in a swimming pool, you dive to take bath. Similarly, you should create an atmosphere where you can naturally chant the holy name and dive into the nectar of the holy name. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. Prabhupada, see, one begins with faith, and this faith has to be increased. So that is a development of faith where you come from just Komal Shraddha to Shastriya Shraddha. Shraddha Sabde Vishwas, Sudrida Nishchay. You have to come to that firm faith. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world, where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra only a few days after hearing the mantra. This may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. Now, Prabhupada says, if one is sincere, he is initiated. And this stage is called Bhajan Kriya. Shraddha Sadhu Sangh he has mentioned. Now, Bhajan Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from intoxicants, mutating and so Prabhupada is saying one has to actually engage in the service of the Lord. After initiation, if you don't engage, then you're, that's not, initiation is the beginning. So from there, you have to make further advancement. By Bhajan Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to the restaurant or hotel to taste the so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex, but avoids sex life entirely. So this is following the regulative principles. Nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculation or gambling. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha. So as long as all these things don't happen, especially the desire for sex, that is a great anartha, then anartha nivritti has not completely happened. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna conscious movement. One is attached to chanting the holy names. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his duties. That is Nishta. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. Asakti, and then Prabhupada is speaking about Bhava. Of course, he has skipped Ruchi. This is called Bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily concept of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what is Maya. At this time, at Bhava, Evam Prasanna Manuso, Bhagavat Bhakti Yogata, Bhagavat Tattva Vigyan. Now he has Bhagavat Tattva Vigyan. Although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the Bhava stage. So till Bhava, one has to be very careful. After Bhava also, he'll be very careful, but still Bhava, because Maya can suck you back. This is because a devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna and Krishna consciousness stand side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Prabhupada quotes Krishna Surya. Prabhupada is going in detail of Bhava stage. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness. He quotes Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hayar Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Maya Radhikar. Krishna is compared to the sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy will immediately vanquish. Suppose it happens gradually from the Shraddha stage to Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya, but at Maya, the illusion is destroyed. So Prabhupada spoke about all this. Here it is in the chart. Shraddha, he begins with Shraddha and becomes a member of the Krishna conscious society. Sadhu Sangh, he takes initiation, engages in the service of the Lord, follows the regulative principles, no longer goes to hotel, eats unwanted things, anarth nivritti happens, contamination of material life is gone, he becomes fixed, nishta, ruchi, asakti, attached to serving Krishna. Bhava experiences ecstasy. And Prabhupada quoted, it is and he loses the bodily conception of life. He understands who is Krishna, who is Maya, and Maya cannot disturb a devotee. And then he attains prema. Prema Prabhupada doesn't describe in detail. So that's how the remedy Kintu Adara is discussed from these three perspectives we saw, based on Cheto Darpan Marjanam, based on the 3 stages of chanting, and based on the 9 stages described in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Okay, so thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.